Hi, viewers. How are you today? And welcome to the Mental Health Warriors. I'm Annette Chappie, and of the Power Hour of Self-Care. I'm back after a hiatus, out and running about, doing things over the holidays and enjoying a trip to the Vipassana Center, which I'm going to share with you today. Uh, uh, and I have our founder here, Adam, who's going to learn all about it along with you. So sit back and enjoy, and I look forward to sharing with you. We'll be right back after the introduction. And we're back. That was kind of choppy, wasn't it, Adam?
A little bit.
Yeah. And there's always issues with internet. We live in a world of, interruptions with that. So how have you been?
Yeah. Very busy. Busy on camera, busy off camera, just keeping going.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah,
going.
myself too. Things are going really well this year for me, and I wanted to share with the viewers and yourself all the update of what I recently did for my own self-care. And that was
Mm.
a trip to the Ontario Vipassana Center here in Canada. So, where to start? Did you know? I
From
think
the
I did some
beginning.
research
From the beginning.
from the beginning. There are many centers all over the world. Now, I'll start from the beginning. I stumbled across the Vipassana Center on my journey of looking for different tools for self-care for mental health. And the most interesting thing I discovered recently is I call it the mental health triangle. So this is a new thing that I share with people when I meet with them and I talk about the mental health journey, the mental wellness journey. So um, I've come around to a complete understanding for me to describe it as we start with a mental illness and then we move into the area of mental health, which is when we're actively getting help, right? When we're going to a therapist and we're practicing what our therapist has explained to us. We may or may not be on medications from our doctors, and we got support from family members, etc. And so then we move from the realm of mental health into in between the journey to mental wellness, which is, as you know, my main focus. So what do you think of that new revelation I've had?
Yeah, well, it is brilliant, isn't it? Because it's giving you time, it's giving you that opportunity and that space to just reflect, to say, forget the world. It's time to focus on me and rebuild that self identity from the broken journey we had.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of wisdom came up from my visitation to the Vipassana Center, and it opens up um, a lot of stuff which I thought had been dealt with through my journey through post-traumatic stress disorder, and I didn't realize how agitated was being. Like from last year, I was carrying on about various things that was ongoing in my life. And, the mental health warriors, we're always talking about the journey through our mental illness and health. And I just, I see where my purpose of being being involved in mentoring and speaking and selling products for mental wellness is really key to my self-care warrior title. Um,
Yeah.
so I had time to reflect on whether or not I wanted to change my name. We briefly talked about that. And
Yeah.
I may do kind of like a change, a combination of it, but I'm still growing and expanding, and I got to give it some time before I actually go there.
Of course. Of course, because it doesn't matter who we are. But obviously, you've had self-care warrior. We've had talks about other names and all that. But still, I see Annette, the amazing Canadian.
Thank you. You know, I love sharing all about the podcast with everybody I meet. You know, I explain to them the guests we have on and how they share journeys. And I explain to them about how we go about talking about ending the stigma around mental illness. And here in Canada, and I'm sure around the world, people are reflecting on, yeah, this is really needed. And so I promote it, and I promote it no matter what I'm doing, whether it's selling a product or a service. And part of what I can now include is my wisdom from my trip to the Vipassana Center. And but just to clarify what I'm going to share, it's very close to the journey for me, where understanding I was very agitated, right? So which was affecting my mental health, knowing that
Yeah.
this part of my journey through mental health with working on my mental wellness was um like coming full circle for me, right? So I'm hoping that viewers who watch this show today will understand where they are on that journey deeper by understanding the process I just went through.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. And because we're all on the journey, it doesn't matter how far into the journey we are. But as I keep saying over and over, we may die. We're gonna die one day, but our stories will live.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these videos are and audio are just constantly able, you're able to go on and watch them at your own leisure, which is a bonus. You don't have to be live to have a
Yeah,
benefit from it. But it's great when we have more viewers and
yeah,
they communicate with us and partake with the questions. But anyway,
absolutely.
I'll start with introducing what my journey consisted of with the trip to the center. So a year ago, I was researching about different self-care methods, and I was looking at different kinds of meditation. And meditation had been lacking in my practice of self-care for a little bit. So I don't know why I had let it slide, but something kept telling me I needed it in my life. So I
Yeah.
came across, when I Googled the Ontario Vipassana Center, and that there was this 10-day course. And the 10-day course consisted of going to the center and practicing 5 precepts, which were key to the evolution of your growth, right? As an individual, as a human.
Mm,
Okay. It's not
mm,
based on any specific sect or religion or faith. It is history of it is that it was created by the enlightened one, the Buddha. Okay. But
right.
he created it so that it is beneficial to all humanity. It's more about the art of living than it is about any sect or religion, right? So they practice at their center that people go and do this 10-day course. And during those 10 days, you take an oath, basically, that you will remain and work on yourself. This is deep, deep inner work, right? And because
Right.
it's such deep inner work, repressed stuff from your past may or may not come up. And from what I witnessed, a lot of people had a lot of emotional stuff come up, right? There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of interviews with the teacher. Like you can go and have a meeting with the teacher to discuss what you're experiencing and to understand your techniques and how your technique is working. And they take you through it so specifically, like step by step by step. And it's 10 days specifically so that you understand each step so that you have growth every day. And we have Dodie who has joined us. She says, hello, guys. Hello, how are you today? Thanks for joining us. And so I researched this. There's a lot of detail about it. I'll leave the link when we finish the show so people can research it themselves, because I'm pretty sure you have
Yeah.
3 centers in England, right? And there are so many centers. There's like, I think, 170 centers. Anyway, so I had to go through this process of application. And then because I have had mental illness history, they actually had to interview me by phone to find out that I was mentally capable of going. Because this is not about treating people for mental health. It's about evolving as a human and a practice that keeps you in an art of living that keeps you balanced, that keeps you with your mind and your body connection,
Right.
so that you can experience happiness and peace. Right? It's a form of liberation
Yeah.
from suffering.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. So if someone is looking for the end to their suffering, all right, you're along your journey where you've recognized and gone through all the, help with uh, mental health professionals, and you're living very close to a very good regime in your mental health, and you feel like you're ready to explore deeper your connection to yourself, which their main focus is know thyself, right? And so many of us who have suffered with mental illness don't know who we are. We have no connection to ourself.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So here I was, the ego always slips in when it's pertaining to some mental health issues, right? There's the line of, we've been traumatized and we feed our trauma over and over again because our ego is afraid to heal. It doesn't want us to heal. It wants to keep us in the suffering. So once we're to the point where we're like, I'm ready to start exploring know myself even deeper, that's when you know you're ready to go to such a place like the center, right? And
Yeah.
it was profound, Adam. I can't. It was to really grasp it, you have to experience it. But I'm going to do my best to try to share it with you. So
Were you triggered at any point on this break?
absolutely, yeah, deeply
Yeah.
triggered. But because I had my coping mechanisms of all the stuff I had learned from my therapist and from my practices prior to going to the center, I was able to cope. I was so prepared for this. And even the teacher, when I taught, like, they made it mandatory for me to meet with her every day. And when she evaluated me on the first day, she said, you can come if you feel you need it. She already saw that I was progressing and I was ready to accept this into my life. right? I was ready to grow and know myself better. So that was amazing. But I did go see her most of the time, because when I did have my triggers, um, funny enough, the main trigger was anger. So deep, deep rooted anger from things from my past, which I had felt I had dealt with.
Yeah.
But as we all know, I mean, the mental warriors know, but we might be educating somebody today. The the um the anger that's buried so deep in us has to come up. We have to feel this. We can't just keep suppressing it, because
Yeah.
then we're still suffering, right? So
That's
the
true.
anger
Yeah.
came up first, and I was literally like, from 4 in the morning, you wake up at 4, you start meditating at
Okay.
4:30, and you go till 9 o'clock at night, right? So you have 3 mandatory group sittings, right? And then you have I call them self-discipline. So you're basically disciplining yourself to do the meditation on your own. If you're like dedicated to what you want to experience in this course, then you practice, 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 right? And I did that, and the benefits come because they do um, they do all the serving for you. You don't have to cook or clean or anything. You're looked after 100% at these places. And so you can continually just work on yourself, right? And
Yeah.
each day, when you finish your day, you have, so they give you a practice, right? So you're taking basically what it is everything that I had learned from book, okay, and had implemented, I then put into the mind body connection, right?
Right.
So as our mind keeps generating hatred and anger and clinging and craving, right? Which is what causes our suffering, okay? The body reacts. We respond to the stimulus that's outside us, right? The outside world is what stimulates all these things to come back up. So as I'm sitting meditating, my mind is going into the past, and my mind is going forward in the future. And then it sort of like brings out all the impurities in you, because you're focused on the breath, right? And then you're focused on the sensations you feel from the emotions and the thoughts that you're having. And
Yes.
I got to tell you, the triggers, I was so triggered that I was shaking, Adam, and crying. And there were other people there that had to get up and leave because they were just crying their hearts out. And at the end of the day, there's assistant teachers, which are the ones that you meet with live. And then there's the teacher who is the teacher who actually practiced it. He's dead now, but it's a recording of his teachings. And he explains every evening why they told you to practice this way and the benefits you receive. And then he gives you examples of what you're feeling and experiencing. And he tells you everything that you went through that day. And literally, Adam, what he says in the evening is exactly what I experienced that day. It was incredible. I can't describe how incredible it was. And they take your phone from you. You're doing noble silence, which means you don't even look up into other people's eyes. So you are now inside yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, 100%. Like, the only person you talk to is your teacher and the case manager if you have something that you need, like, the toilet paper's run out or whatever, right? You need to find more. But that's it. And then you are meditating, you have your breaks for your food, and you're sleeping. And in between, when you have rest periods, you can go for a walk in the woods and stuff. And by this, like, I deliberately didn't have my car there because I knew I would make an excuse to run away because I knew this was going to be. And I thought that my mental health might not be strong enough to stay, but I was so determined to complete this course that once
Yeah.
he started explaining that it's work, this is work. You're not there on a retreat. You're not there to have fun. You're there to work. And
Yeah.
so as I worked through it, all the old triggers come up that are still there, all the sensations, the like when you're meditating and you're focusing on your body, all these pains come up. Like literally sensations of pain, the elbow, the knee, the foot, and but they help you get your mind really, really sharp by the breathing techniques and the focusing
Yeah.
on the sensations. And once you get that by day 6, 7, it's just like you start to feel better. Like you're feeling happy, you're feeling peaceful. There's like this lightness that comes up out of you. And you're smiling and you're looking forward to every morning. And it was just so, so transformational. And
Yeah. How long was you there?
10 days. Actually, it works out
10
to
days.
11 and a half because the first day they do an introduction, right? They explain this is how
Yeah.
the place runs. This is what the things that you're going to be doing, and the meals you're going to get, and how everybody is to do the 5 precepts. And there's the silent, noble silence starts that night on your very first meditation and goes right to the 10th day in the morning. And then
Yeah.
on the 10th day, we break silence and then we can, share with each other. And you leave on the morning of the 11th. So you're basically there, right? 10 full days. You're there 12 days in total, but you don't go in until registration isn't until 5, and then you leave after 10 o'clock on the 12th day, right? So there's a
Okay.
final discourse.
So how many of those days
Mhm.
you masking?
How many days did I what?
Mask. Because obviously at first when you go into this new place, you've got that mask on, you don't know what you're expecting, you don't know what's coming up right in front of you. And obviously, yeah, as I said, your anxiety's up. But were you masking for any of it? Like first day or so? I don't know.
You mean the mask for COVID?
No, the masking. When people mask, like obviously when you're there, obviously you smile, but it's not really a smile. Something like on those lines.
Oh, you mean I'm trying to understand your terminology. When you're in silence?
What one of them invisible masks?
Mm.
Like you look happy, but you're not.
Oh, it didn't feel like that at all. So it didn't feel like I was literally wearing a mask for COVID during inside stuff. But it's like,
I'm not on about that kind of mask. I'm not about that kind
yeah.
of mask.
No, it for me, it didn't feel like I was wearing a mask. For me, it felt like just that I was with myself and I was focused on myself. I didn't feel false. I didn't feel any misleading. It felt like actually that was stripped away, if anything,
Right.
right? Because
All right.
when you do such inner work with yourself, Adam, you can't hide from yourself. And you're not paying
You
you
can. You can.
deliberately ignore the behavior of all other people, right? So for example,
Yeah.
if somebody inadvertently, like, you bump into them and they say, "Oh, sorry," you're not supposed to respond. And that's not to mean that you're being rude. If you start the talking, if you start communicating with each other, then the mind gets all chatter, chatter, chatter. We're trying to quiet the mind, right? So for me, there was no sense of being masked, right?
All right. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So by the second day, it was kind of like, what am I doing here? Because it's pain. You're in pain because your body is sitting so much, and your body's not used to that, and your mind is rebelling, right? Your mind wants to scream out, "Why am I doing this? Why are you putting me through this?" And for me to give a great analogy, it's almost like going to the military, right? When you're put in the army and the army
Yeah.
says, do this, and don't question, right? But they do this all with loving kindness. They do this all with compassion. And everybody is treated equal. And everyone is
Yeah.
treated with respect. And when you have a difficulty, you talk to the teacher. You can talk to them anytime, like if you're struggling. And there was like 90 plus students, right? And the students, out of the 90, maybe only 3 or 4 left, right? That couldn't take the work that they had to do. They weren't ready, right? So myself, day 2 was really difficult. Day 4 was really difficult because day 4 they teach you what's called strong determination, which means you sit in the same spot without moving. And because the focus is constantly to be inward with yourself, you're focused on your body and what you're feeling while you're sitting still. Right? So they teach you not to torture yourself. So you're free to move. So if you say before you moved 5 times in one sitting, it's an hour long, the sitting. The next time try 4, and next time try 3, and the next time, you keep whittling it down. Adam, I can sit for an hour without moving, no problem now, without any pain. So, and I continue
Brilliant.
to practice. I practice morning and I practice night, an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening. And at the end of every meditation, we practice metta meditation. And metta meditation is to send love out to human beings, to all beings, to be happy,
Okay.
right?
Well,
And
yeah.
and beings doesn't mean just human beings. It means all beings, like everything that's living on the planet. So when they explain the practice, why the Buddha, the enlightened one, created this technique, it was to eradicate all your suffering and misery and to come out of your suffering. And I got to tell you, Adam, it brought me out of
Mm.
my suffering. I can literally say that I am
Proud of
free.
you.
Thank you. You know, I'm literally free from my compulsive overeating. I am literally free from anger, from aversion. The minute I feel even the slightest sensation in my body, I check in and I go to the breath and I check in with myself and I ask myself, what is it that's stimulating anger, aversion, clinging, or craving?
Yeah.
Because and when
Yeah.
they explain all of these things to you, you get all these, oh my God. And you get all this wisdom as to why we suffer so much.
Yeah.
So when it was over, I was like, I didn't want my phone back. I didn't want to leave. I did, but I didn't. I have my family, but it's quite a shock. It is very shocking when you come out of the noble silence and you're now talking with people again because you realize how mad we are, how much we cling and crave the stimulus outside of us, from our inner world, right?
Yeah,
And I got to tell you,
absolutely.
it was just an amazing, peaceful experience. And it's all 100% free.
Well done.
And it's free because it's volunteers who were like, you can't even give a donation. Like, it's all run by donation. You can't even do a donation until you've done a 10-day course. And everybody that
Wow.
works there and all the students that were had practiced before have come back as servers, and they're now cooking and cleaning and helping get the lodging ready and keeping the meditation center clean. And everybody works like a community, and it's all done out of gratitude and compassion. I literally felt at home.
Awesome. All right.
So that was my journey through
Brilliant.
Vipassana meditation.
I don't know what to ask. I really don't.
You
I'm
know,
just inspired by what you're saying.
yeah,
It is a
Terry says
beautiful
it's
way
a
of living,
beautiful way
Terry.
of
You're
living.
right.
Yeah, it is a beautiful way of living. And I am going back already. I'm booked for February 12th to 15th to give gratitude, to give back for all the people that gave to me. And they grew
Yeah.
literally from a small little house, like a 2-bedroom house on a big property 20 years ago. And now it is a huge complex with a huge meditation hall, huge dining room, 3 dormitories for the women, a huge dormitory for the men, a walking path, all people who volunteer their time in renovations. And so the final thing they tell you is, if you benefited from this, then donate. But donate your time or donate your money, right? They actually stress more about donating your time, because when you donate your time, you're benefiting the next students that come. So when
Yeah.
I saw that they grew from a small little house of maybe 10 or 12 people into this massive complex community now, and then I learned that they're all over the world, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go to Quebec. There's one in Quebec. I want to visit the one in Quebec. There were people from England at the center. The guy says, "Oh, I'm from England. I'm visiting from England. I flew in just to do a 10-day course." Right? So if you want to come to Canada, I will take you. Or you can look here. I'm going to look up the site now, and I'll put up the post. Ontario. Okay. And if you click on all the locations, contact us to do course information about, it has a section where there's all the locations. And I know that there's some in England because I was researching it so I could let you guys know.
Yeah.
I even found 3 in my children's in Argentina. There you go. That's the site. And I go, once you become an old student, then you get additional services. So there's a newsletter. There's you can watch the courses again. You can watch there's the sittings where you can listen and do the meditations to them. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of resources so that you can continue your practice of keeping yourself in touch with knowing yourself, because this is just the beginning. Like, if you continue your practice and incorporate it in your life all the time, then you just live peacefully. So, local sittings. Where do I find? Um,
Yeah, there's one in Devon in England.
oh, you found it, eh?
Yeah, I found it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I could literally get on a plane, go to England, come visit you, and then go to the Vipassana center there.
Yeah, it's Find Your Peace, a 3-night silent retreat, but it's a 6-day mindfulness retreat.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yeah, it's a 3-night. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one I went to was taught by
It looks like it's in
S.N.
the
Yonka.
countryside.
So that's my experience there, and I think you know what the biggest benefit it's done for me, Adam, is it got to the root of what was really, really troubling me with my mental health. And that was my history,
Yeah.
that all the root of all my trauma. I pinpointed it one day. I was sitting there and it came to me because you can't stop thoughts from coming. They come, they go, your mind wanders here, your mind wanders there. You
Right.
have to bring yourself back to your breath and your body. And what came up was my uh the deep-rooted need for security, right? Humans always crave
Mm,
and get angry and get um cling to the need for security. And that was mine. That is
you
because
do.
I always thought that being adopted never bothered me. I always thought that, you know, all the things that people had done to me, it didn't like it affected me this way, it affected me that way, it affected me this way. But the core of all that anger, of all that sadness was that I didn't have a stable sense of security. And it's so important
Yeah.
that when we raise our children, that we teach them to be lovingly kind to themselves and to be gentle with themselves and
I
to
agree.
be compassionate to
Yeah.
others and yourself. And if you do those things, if you're mindful of your thoughts and the way you're feeling and all the how you're bombarded by society and sensations that are coming at you, then you are your own security, right? Once you know yourself that deeply, nothing can rock your foundation, you know? Um,
Yeah.
the an example was the first week I was back, I'd been having difficulty with uh, my partner being on the computer so much with these video games. And he took his phone with him out to dinner when we had a family relative visit. And he has it under the table and he's playing it. I look at it and I go, what's he doing? And instead of instead of losing it, I just said, you know what? I have two options here. I can get up and sit over at that table and eat by myself because it feels like the same thing that you're ignoring us, or you can put your phone away. And he put his phone away
Yeah.
because I dug deep down into my emotions of how that made me feel and the way my body started to vibrate, that he didn't love himself enough to participate with his family. Time is so precious. And this is one of the things you learn the most when you're at the center is time is so precious. Everything is so impermanent. Everything is so inferior that we waste so much time being angry and we waste so much time um
We do. Doesn't achieve
trying
anything.
we lose so much time doing that. I mean, we only have the present moment to live in, right? And if
Yeah.
we're always in the past with our anger and our clinging and cravings, and then always going into the future with, I want this, I want that, I'm not happy, blah, 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 we're missing such opportunities to be happy and to bring happiness to others.
Well, yeah, well, that brings to the point because I was listening to, I listened to a lot of motivational speakers, and it's like you
Mm,
have to realize, like, you can't. Obviously, it's impossible to forget the past because it happened, but you can forgive yourself for what happened.
mm,
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but remember, look where you are now from the past. You survived the past. You're still here. So I
yeah,
get it, you forgive or forget in the past, but forgive yourself. And then in the future, we've all got goals. And yet they may be absolutely brilliant goals, but just remember where you are, you're here and the now. And you need to take those little steps into getting to that goal. Because if you just
right.
focus on that goal, which could be a long way, that could be a trigger to you.
Yeah. And it was for me. I was very focused on my
Yeah.
success in my business. And I was very focused on
Yeah.
what was going to happen to my father-in-law with him being 90, right? And I was really focused on when I was going to die. And I was worrying and worrying and worrying about it.
Okay.
And it's like now it's like, okay, so I'm going to die one day. I want to die peacefully. I don't want to die with all this anger and fear and,
No.
all this stuff living inside me, so that when I leave, I want to leave a legacy that I did something kind to my very final breath.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's life changing. It really truly is, Adam.
it is.
I hope people will, watch and share this video over and over and over again, and that people will
Yeah.
research the centers. And you can go from any faith or religion. It is not judgmental. It is not saying to give up any other practice that you may have in life, because these things benefit us to some degree or other, right? But what it's asking you
Mm.
is just to look at it from both the spiritual side of it and the scientific, because it's scientifically proven that this works, right? It was discovered a long time ago, and it's all explained in the course how. And then every
Yeah.
time you experience it, you're having the experiential, the deep experience of this process, so that you know that it's true. You can't. It's not like you can lie to yourself that you're not experiencing this, because you're right there experiencing it, right?
Mm.
And if your mind can't grasp it, then uh, it's just not where you are in life, right? But if you're
Absolutely.
really, really,
Yeah.
really wanting to
Yeah.
end suffering, then you're there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've left Adam speechless.
You have.
Well, that's a first. Well, like I said, I leave a legacy where people remember me because I gave them loving kindness. Then I've done my job, right? I can go to my
Absolutely.
um, I can go out of this world very peacefully. And I
Yeah.
learned a lot more about myself, and the science. I love the scientific explanations of everything too, because I have that part of me that loves the science.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Just keep going. Keep going. You're awesome. That's why.
Thank you, Adam. You know, so um, that's a wrap for me, folks. I mean, I've had a long night last night, and my throat is like killing me. So I'm not going to stay the full hour. And I look forward to our next show. I haven't got it set up yet, but
Yeah.
Watch for it, folks. And thank you so much, Adam, for joining me. And I hope everyone who watches this will like and
Absolutely.
subscribe to the Mental Health Warriors, because Adam has created a platform that embraces everything to do with mental illness, health, and wellness. You have a full platform here that is going to help you no matter what area you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So thank you for letting me share this with you, Adam. I hope it
You're
benefits
most
many.
welcome. Absolutely. And don't thank me, thank yourself, because that's why you do these, to bring change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Viewers, you can find us on, what is it, Linktree? And that takes us to all our
Yeah,
platforms.
we're basically everywhere. We're everywhere. Facebook,
Yeah.
YouTube, LinkedIn, Spotify, we're everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a network of great hosts, and we're all here for you. You're never alone.
Yeah.
And get out there and
Nope.
get working on your mental health, and keep going, everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right.
All right. So we'll all sign off, and all the best. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, Adam. Thanks for coming on, and I'll
You
talk to you
too.
soon. Okay. Bye, everyone.
See you in a bit. We got it.